Those of us who enjoy helping others, well, hopefully that's all of us, right? But there are some people, and you've met them, of course, who seem to excel in helping others, gifted in it. I'm thinking of my best friend back in Scotland. Just nothing is too much to ask, always eager to help. Tires you just watching him, the enthusiasm. But those of us who excel in it, who are gifted in it, will often confess that part of the enjoyment of helping others, part of the blessing, comes with the compliment of being asked to help. Like if someone calls you at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're frightened or they're sad or they're grieving, there's a backhanded compliment in that, right? Because in the midst of their fear, in the midst of their sadness, they needed to talk to someone, and they thought, oh, I know, I'll call Frank or Mary or Tom or Jesse, because I know them, and I know that as ungodly as this hour is, I know they won't be mad at me for calling them. What a compliment. What a compliment. And they would probably go on to say, in fact, I know them so well that if they knew that I was tired or I was scared or I was grieving and I didn't call them, well, they would be offended that I didn't call them when I was scared. It's a perspective on service that we rarely contemplate, how much God is trusting us when he asks great things from us. There was a young man one time. He sat across from the table watching his father, and his father looked a little more serious than he had normally looked. And the son said, "What's wrong? What's wrong, Father?" And the father, as he began to pour pain, suffering, humiliation into a cup, he said, "I need to find someone who'll drink this." And without a moment's hesitation, the son said, "I'll do that for you. I'll do that." Like I mentioned a few weeks back in regard to Jeff's prayer, how terribly proud God must be of us when he finds us asking him to remove all those things within us when we have those moments when we're standing a little taller than usual, when we're feeling a little braver than usual, and we go to God and we say, "All right, Father, let me have it. Whatever it takes. Let's rip off the Band-Aid." In fact, maybe we ought to be a little offended sometimes, a little disappointed when God doesn't ask great things of us. Maybe we ought to be sitting sometimes thinking, what's wrong with me? That you're not asking great things of me. And then there's other times that we can become offended, which is more in line with the sermon this morning. Sometimes when we can become irate or even angry when God asks less of us. Remember, like Naaman? You remember Naaman in 2 Kings, the great commander of the army of Aram, leprous. I mean, he was white with it. Remember 2 Kings 5, Naaman? Well, he just so happened to capture a Jewish girl who worked in his service, and she mentioned that Naaman should go and visit Elisha, the prophet, and be cured of his leprosy. So Naaman loads his truck with, according to Google or Grok, Naaman loads his truck with the equivalent of $6 million worth of gold, silver, and garments, and takes off for Elisha's house. And he arrives at Elisha's house, and these things aren't said, but it's certainly in the text. Elisha doesn't even go out to meet him. This great commander sends out a servant, and the message that comes, he doesn't even want the money. It becomes later on. But Elisha sends out a servant with a message that Naaman should go dip himself in the Jordan 7 times. Go dip in the Jordan 7 times, and you'll be cured of your leprosy. Well, this infuriates Naaman, who's probably still fuming that Elisha didn't come out and greet him personally. Dip 7 times in the Jordan for leprosy? Doesn't he know how much I'm hurt? Doesn't he know who I am? That I'm a great commander? Who does he think I am? Who does he think he is to ask such a menial, low, the Jordan? Doesn't he know the rivers that we have back home? That he should ask this of me? Can't he at least come out and wave his hand over me and call upon a great God? Make a big deal about it? And he's irate, he's offended. And it's Naaman's servants who have the backbone. It's Naaman's servants who basically go up to him and say to him, "What's wrong with you?" Because he doesn't ask something great of you where you can prove yourself. Because he asks something, you would have done some great thing. Well, doesn't he know I'm out here with 6 million cash? Well, he knows you're out here with the money. But why are you being so stupid? You're too proud to be healed. Man, that would preach, wouldn't it? Too proud to be healed. Maybe another week. Is that where you are? If he asked something great, you would have done it. But he asks something less. And you're standing here trying to convince us that you would do something great, but yet you can't do something less. Is that what we're to conclude? Yeah, well, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have, yeah, we know what you would have, could have, should have did. And I'm sure when you did it, all the angels would have applauded. Hey, can you dip? Can you dip? Can you do that? Perhaps like the preacher, and I don't know that there's ever been a preacher who ever existed who didn't have this moment in their life. Perhaps like the preacher who goes to God and says, "Lord, you can trust me. Give me the talent. Give me the name. Give me the fame. You can trust. Send me to the lectureships where thousands of people, thousands of them have gathered, your people. And I'll tell them, I won't let you down. I'll tell it like it is. I will lift your name high and proud. Send me, Father. Here I am. Send me." And God says, "Oh, thank you. I'm sure you would. But you think you have a shortage of those guys? You think you have a shortage of people offering me the offer you just offered me?" And God says, can you Can you do what you just said? Everything that you just mentioned there. Can you do it in a 30-member congregation in the backwoods of Arkansas? Can you do it there? Can you do it where no one will know your name? The invites won't come, the phone won't ring. Can you lift my name as high and proud there? And can you live and die in absolute obscurity? Can you drink that cup, son? Son, I've got no end of people who would gladly serve me the way you just described, who rather conveniently would do it while receiving all the acclaim and the plaudits from all his peers. But tell me, son, can you dip? Can you dip? Sometimes things happen in Scripture where it doesn't have to be recorded for us to know that it happened, right? That we don't need to have any record of it. We know that it happened. The rich young ruler went home and kicked the dog, right? We know it. We know that Jairus hugged his daughter for about a week and a half. We know the man born blind danced a jig with his children all night and then was terrified to close his eyes to go to sleep because every time he closed his eyes, he was reminded of the horror. And in the morning, terrified to open his eyes that it might all have been a dream. We know that these things happened, right? We know that at some point Lazarus, probably exasperated, said, look, even if I could remember, I wouldn't be allowed to tell you. And Thomas, we know that on many occasions, Thomas must have said to himself, why did I have to see? Why did I have to be the one who had to see? Why couldn't I trust like the rest of them? And now my name forever marred. I've robbed myself with my own stupidity and faithlessness. I'll always be the disciple. Why couldn't I just have trusted him? Hebrews chapter 11, that great hall of faith that you've probably read 1,000,000 times, where it lists all the greats who stood shoulder to the wheel against the current, who couldn't see, who had to trust, who didn't understand, and now forever memorialized as all the greats. That great chapter opens with the words that Ryan read for us. Faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. Faith, no small word in our world, is it? For by grace you have been saved through faith. We're lost without it. So this is no small word. So in part, this lesson is tying a bow on last week's lesson on wax on and wax off, when I made the point that if defeating the enemy, if walking with God is genuinely our desired end, then eventually we're going to have to get it through our heads that we don't know it. We don't know everything after all. We can't know everything. And invariably, we're going to have to trust the Master and what he's decided is best for us. And we're going to have to get it through our head that he couldn't really give a hang what river we think it might be best for us to be dipped in when he's asking us to go to the Jordan. And he couldn't give a hang whether we could understand wax on and wax off. He's just asking us to do it. Well, I don't really see the point. I'm not asking you to see the point, son, even if I could explain it to you. Even if you could grasp it, which you can't. Can you dip, son? Where were you, Job? Oh, little man, were you there when I I laid the foundations of the earth? Were you there when I stretched the heavens? You little man, that you should question me. As though you would know best. What's best for you and your life. And treat me as though I'm the one who doesn't know what is best. Well, can you dip? I know you're telling me you can do all these great things, but I've got a son who'll tell you, he who is faithful in the little things will be those who are faithful in the great. Can you dip, son? Unless, of course, I'm mistaken. I've read Hebrews a few times. But maybe I've missed the chapter on the great hall of proofers. Those who had all their answers, all their questions answered. Those who had all the lights turned on. Those who God took aside and made clear to them every step along the way. Maybe I missed the chapter on the great proofers. Well, I'm just saying, if God could have gave me just a few signs and answered a few of my questions, man, there's no end. There's no end to what I would have accomplished. I would have did this. I would have done that. Would you now? See, I'm one that doubts that. You're going to have to forgive me when I think that God might actually know better than us. Are you kidding me? Doesn't God know who I am, what I possess, what I could do, how generous I could be, the amount of miles that I could walk, the amount of cheeks that I could turn, why I could. Can you dip? Can you dip? I had a conversation with a sister following last week's sermon. Not like the imaginary conversation I just described a minute ago. I don't know who that conversation was with. Certainly not with myself. No, she said, sweetly, as sisters so typically do, so disarming, man. I hope the women in our world can rediscover the power of sweetness, the disarming power of kindness. Anyway, she said it sweetly. She said, but it would be easier, yes, if we could just have a few answers, if we could understand it a little bit clearer instead of having to wax on and wax off and trust it. And if that's where you are this morning, let me say to you what I said to her. Yes, God could absolutely do that. He could absolutely make it known to you, answer every question that you have, and remove every doubt, and he could do it quicker than you could possibly imagine. But why? Why would he do that? And rob you of your reward? He hasn't come to rob us. He's come to reward us And our reward will be directly proportional to our faith. The great land of promise that we're told, which is the greatest blessing in the Old Testament, it's the greatest blessing in the New Testament, and whatever is true about the greatest is also true about the lesser blessings. The land of promise, we're told in Scripture, will only, and therefore every other blessing will only be received by faith, or it will not be received at all. We cannot bribe God. We cannot emotionally blackmail him. We can't encourage him to act out of character. It's never going to happen. He knows what's best for us. He desires to reward us. And it's this system that he has set up that we must trust will bring us more reward. It's to your glory he works, not to his. God knows how glorious he is, and he's all right with it. It's your glory he's in. So why would he do it? Why would he rob you of your own reward? Sight, proof, evidence. As attractive and as pleasing as these things are to us, we're going to have to get it through our head. Nullifies faith. They extinguish faith. We don't like to hear it, I know, partly because we've been taught, and therefore we believe that evidence strengthens faith. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. We only think it does because we like to believe that it does. Look, when you get up in the morning, you're standing beside the bus stop, you got to be at work at 9 a.m., it's now 8:40, and you're told that your bus would appear, but according to the schedule, at 8:41, so you look at the schedule, and you're trusting that it's going to come at 8:41, and then lo and behold, 8:41, the bus appears. Instantly, you no longer have to trust that the bus is coming. You know it. You see it. Your faith that the bus would arrive has dissolved. You can now see it. Sarah called me this week driving away from dropping Ruby off for the last time. And she was driving along the road and tears are streaming down her face. And I said to her, you're going to have to pull over to the side of the road. I don't want you driving by faith. What was the joke? If you can't see the road, you're driving by faith. If you can see the road, we know this. We absolutely know it. Girl A marries Frank, who promises her that he will provide for her and her family as long as he will live. Girl B marries George, who promises her the same. But George's a multimillionaire. Which girl marries demonstrating the most faith? Well, girl B's obviously smarter, but maybe. I'm not talking about smart. I'm talking about faith. And weirdly enough, we have no problem with this until it hits us in our theology. Sight extinguishes the very need for faith. No, Billy will argue. I'm telling you that I took a course on biblical evidences, and I felt stronger after that course than I did before it. I know. I've took the same courses. I'm not talking about strength. But, well, I was much more emboldened after I saw the proof. I know. Well, I went on to do greater things after I took that course than before. I know. But everything you did after that course, you did by knowing, not by faithing. Before the course, you would have to have done the same thing, simply trusting that what you believed was true. Isn't that, am I missing it? Isn't that the point with the whole conversation with Thomas? When Jesus takes Thomas aside and says to Thomas, hey, I'm glad you believe now, Thomas. Absolutely delighted that you believe. And you will go on and do great things. But Thomas, let me tell you about some other people who are coming along. These people are going to believe what you believe without ever having to see what you needed to see. And that whole conversation is, those coming after will be of the greater things. It's why Jesus said, you'll go on to do greater things even than I. Because by faith. And if Thomas had said to Jesus, yeah, well, maybe they will, but they won't do as great things as I will. They won't have accomplished what I have. After all, I'm an apostle. I'm part of the apostolic group. There's no way they're going to go down in history like I will. I'll have accomplished it more. Jesus would have said, oh, Thomas. Is that why you think I'm here? Human accomplishment? Whoever told you that? Thomas, you were there when I asked the question. When the Son of Man returns, will he find accomplishments? No. You were there, Thomas. When the Son of Man returns, my greatest anxiety here is, will he find faith on earth? Jesus said to God one time, maybe, in the land of imaginary conversations, perhaps, Jesus said to God, I met someone yesterday. And God says, oh? He says, yeah, I was starving. He caught me right at the end of that fast. I was starving. He reminded me that I had the power to turn every stone that we were looking at. He reminded me I could turn them into bread. God says, yeah, you certainly had the power to do that. He said, do you know that, he offered me all the kingdoms in the world. They were his to give, I presume. He offered me all the kingdom. You have any idea, Father, what I could accomplish for you if I owned all the kingdoms in the world? God says, yeah. And no doubt you could, son. Can you dip? Can you dip, son? Can you trust me if there comes a day when I remove all my protection from you and I let them do to you what their evil hearts are bent on doing to you? Can you trust me then? Can you trust me if they take you and beat you? Because they don't just want to kill you. They want to humiliate you. They want you naked on a cross in front of everybody, in front of all who were foolish enough to believe in you. Can you trust me then? Can you trust me, son, if while doing that for me, the world goes dark? Can you trust me when it looks like to anyone who's watching, it'll look like I have absolutely abandoned you and that your entire life has been a failure? Can you dip, son? Can you dip? And that young man, that 33-year-old kid, so brave, so driven, looked at his father with all the love in the world, smiling, eyes beaming, and said, "I'll do anything you want me to, Father," and took the cup from his father's hand. Cheers. Can you dip? Can you dip? Lesson's yours.